Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with a little something different. We're back in the book today. We're going to have another lesson from the book. So I'm going to give my standard disclaimer. If you are not secure in your spiritual beliefs, then you probably don't need to be here. If you are questioning what you believe, then this might be a good place for you. But if you have no room in your faith for questioning, then you don't need to be around. I am very flexible in my beliefs. I hold some very unconventional beliefs, and that offends some people. If you're one of those people who are easily offended, then you should probably not be here. Uh, and that is not to say that you're not welcome. You are absolutely welcome to be here, but until I want to give you fair warning. That's all. Uh, we're going to be dealing with the end times here. We're going to be dealing with some prophetic stuff because I was given a remembrance and a word. And the remembrance we're going to deal with first. I have done Bible studies before. This may be your first time here with me, and if so, then you should definitely check out at least two of my other Bible studies before we get into this. You should definitely check out the Days of Lot and the Revelation 13 book story. Uh, Simply because I will be going over the things that I have covered in there that are a little bit unconventional. And specifically dealing with a dream that I had in the Revelation 13. The remembrance was dealing with that dream. I had a dream of the passage of time. I was standing and I saw time passing, and it was a factor of 3.5. There was a arise, a set, arise, a set, arise, a set, arise. And the sun moved down and back up in those rising, like you had had the sun and then the moon, the sun, the moon, the sun, the moon, and then it started coming back, right? Okay. So it was 3.5, but I wasn't sure what the 3.5 stood for. I'm still not sure what the 3.5 stood for, but I had a strong remembrance coming back to me today of that dream. And as I got up, I started seeing something that concerns me. I am a Trump supporter. I voted for Trump in 2016. I voted for Trump in 2020, and I plan on voting for Trump in 2024. I say that simply because this next part. In my dream, I had the word was given to me that uh, the head wound of the beast, right? And I saw Trump. Later, I had a strong feeling that Trump was the head wound. And the things that I saw this morning are concerning because it appears that there is an attempt to remove the president, lawful or not, and I don't believe that he is in a position by duly election, but there is an attempt to remove him using the 25th Amendment, which we knew going in was going to be a thing. The timing of it is a little bit strange to me, and I will be especially concerned if it happens around June the 20th. That would be a year and a half, which would be one of the factors of 3.5. So if he's removed and Trump is placed in any position of authority resulting from that, it will cause me great concern. I'm not saying that Trump is the Antichrist by any means. The Antichrist is not the same as the beast. But there could be a possibility that Trump will be representing the beast system. I don't worship any man. I support him because I like his economic policies. I don't like some of the other actions that he did. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like him as a person. But as a president, he did a very good job. All of that to bring me into the next part. I got a word when I got up. And that word was, and he shall have no regard for women. All right. And the reason that I told you to go and watch the video about the days of Lot is because the great sin, right, of Sodom and Gomorrah was not homosexuality. The great sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was the forcing of that upon others. When the angels came to visit, the whole town turned out to try to rape these men. That is a forcing of the views upon the innocent. And that is what finally caused the reign of destruction, right? Lot pled, please, if I can find just 5 people, right? Okay. So, I got the word of they shall have no regard for women. And I looked it up because that's what I do. Whenever I hear something like that pop off in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to check that out. And that led me to the book of Daniel. Specifically, Daniel 13:36, 11:36. But in order to make sure that I'm in the right spot, I read backwards, right? Okay, let's go back and look at this. We are in the book Daniel 9. We're going to go here to Gabriel's prophecy of the 70 weeks. And we're going to go there and we're going to try and go through this as quickly as possible while talking about the things that we need to talk about, right? While I was speaking, praying, and confessing my sin and that of my people Israel, and presenting my petition before the Lord my God concerning his holy mountain, while I was still praying, Gabriel, the man I had seen in the earlier vision, came to me in swift flight about the time of the evening sacrifice. That is, towards the evening, right before. Okay. It's a specific time of the day. Well, I don't know specifically when the evening sacrifice went off, but he expected you to know that. And I want to point out that it is a specific time of day. And he instructed me and spoke with me, saying, I have come to tell you now, to give you insight and understanding. At the beginning of your petitions, an answer went out, and I have come to tell you, for you are highly precious. So consider the message and understand the vision. 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to stop their transgression, to put an end to sin, to make atonement for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place. So that it is 70 weeks for you and your people to quit sinning, to atone, to become righteous, to seal up and anoint the most holy place, the temple. Know and understand this. Can y'all see this? I'm going to pull it up for you. Know and understand this. From the issuance of the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Messiah, the Prince, there will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. So that is a total of 69 weeks, right? But it is separated for a reason. It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, but in times of distress. Now, a trench is a fortification. Most of Israel is surrounded by fortifications. Jerusalem, in particular, has a lot of fencing. Then after the 62 weeks, the Messiah will be cut off and will have nothing. Then the people of the Prince who is to come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood, and until the end there will be war. Desolations have been decreed, and he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. But in the middle of the week, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of the temple will come the abomination that causes desolation, until the decreed destruction is poured out upon him. We're going to pause here for just a minute. We're going to talk about these things. Let me see. I believe that is what this pulled up right here. Yes. Daniel 9:27. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. 1 week is led, like we were led to believe through various places in the Bible, that 1 week here symbolizes 7 days. And the 3.5 days then, he'll put an end to the sacrifice and offering. That means that in order for it to start, there has to be a sacrifice and offering. The temple has to be rebuilt. And on the wing of the temple will come the abomination that causes desolation. This is at the midpoint. This is in the middle of the week. He will put an end to the sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of the temple, which is the wing of the temple, can mean like a literal wing, but it also can mean the pinnacle, the top. This word specifically means a wing, a flap, a quarter, and a pinnacle. So it can mean any of those things. But if you look at it through the pinnacle and the other things that I have talked about before, about the abomination that causes desolation, this thing that is seen, that causes horror across the entirety of the world. That is what happens, is that the end will be put to the sacrifice and offering from the temple. And across the top of the temple, we will see the abomination of desolation at that point. So we're not there yet. I brought this up to point out that this is another point for the abomination being in the sky. But it's also bringing us context for this next part. He's talking about the end times. A lot of this prophecy can be taken as having been fulfilled. There are a lot of people who study the Bible for their entire life and will tell you that this has been fulfilled and it is done. I take a multifaceted view of the Bible, as I do most books. There is a measure of truth hidden in everything. And just because something happened once does not mean that it won't happen again. As a matter of fact, it appears that history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it sure rhymes. And so, we get Daniel's vision by the Tigris. Give me 1 second. In the third year of Cyrus, the king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, who was called Belteshazzar. It is important to note here that he is called Belteshazzar because he is indoctrinated into the Magi. That is his name through the Magi, which are what would be considered witches and warlocks and things now. They dealt with the very real forces of magic and nature and God. All of those are tied together inextricably. So, just so you understand that that's what they're saying right here in the Bible, and they say it many times. But Daniel was indoctrinated into the Magi. That was part of the thing. The message was true, and it concerned a great conflict, and the understanding of the message was given to him in a vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 full weeks. I ate no rich food, no meat or wine entered my mouth, and I did not anoint myself with oil until the 3 weeks were completed. The anointing with oil is also another very important point to point out, because there are those who believe that things are prohibited by God when they are not. The anointing oil contained cannabis. It's olive oil, it is myrrh, and it is cannabis. It's stuffed into a barrel with very specific measurements and stuck in the sun for months to just seep into the oil. All the THC caramelizes into the oil. So when they smear that oil onto their heads, it creates a hallucinogenic experience because it is a very, very intense cannabinoid effect. So in order to be the anointed one, Christ had to have used cannabis at least once, and that just pissed somebody off. I did not anoint myself with oil until the 3 weeks were completed. And on the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, the Tigris, I lifted my eyes, and behold, there was a certain man dressed in linen, with a belt of fine gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like the brilliance of lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of polished bronze, and his voice like the sound of a multitude. So what we're looking at here is a guy that his body was like beryl. Beryl is a stone. I believe it is like a light purple stone. His face was brilliant like lightning. So we're talking about plasma white, like very intense, can't look at it white, like looking at an arc weld. His eyes like flaming torches. His arms and legs had the gleam of polished bronze, so a metallic yellow. And the voice like the sound of the multitude. So we're gonna bounce her at the like the crowd screaming. And only I, Daniel, saw the vision. The men with me did not see it, but a great terror fell upon them, and they ran and hid themselves. So I was left alone, gazing at this great vision, and no strength remained in me. My face grew deathly pale, and I was powerless. I heard the sound of his words, and as I listened, I fell into a sleep, my face to the ground. And then suddenly a hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. And he said to me, Daniel, you are a man who is highly precious. Consider carefully the words I am about to say to you. Stand up, for I have now been sent to you. And he said it to me, and I stood up trembling. Do not be afraid, for from the first day that you purposed to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. However, the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me for 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kings of Persia. It's very interesting that this being was left there with the kings of Persia, held back for 21 days by the kings of Persia. Now I've come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision concerns those days. Again, this is an end times prophecy. This is not a middle of the road policy. This is not something that happened and then history continued. This is for the end times. This is the signs of the end and the things that will happen at that time. There are a lot of people who will tell you this has been completed, but he's telling you right here, this concerns the end times, the latter days. And while he was speaking these words to me, I set my face towards the ground and became speechless. And suddenly, one with the likeness of a man touched my lips, and I opened my mouth and said to the one standing before me, my Lord, because of the vision, I am overcome with anguish and have no strength. How can I, your servant, speak with you, my Lord? Now I have no strength, nor is any breath left in me. And the one with the likeness of a man touched me and strengthened me. Do not be afraid, you who are highly precious. Peace be with you. Be strong now. Be very strong. As he spoke with me, I was strengthened and said, Speak, my Lord, for you have strengthened me. Do you know why I have come to you? He said. I must return at once to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I have gone forth, behold, the prince of Greece will come. But first I will tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. Yet no one has the courage to support me against these, except Michael, your prince. Very interesting phraseology with the except Michael, your prince there. Some religious groups hold that Michael is Jesus. Some people hold that Gabriel was Jesus. I don't know either way. None of them said their name was Jesus. Now here's another part where a lot of people get stuck up, because I'm willing to admit I am wrong in my interpretation. I could be wrong in anything that I say. I am not God. I do my best to tell you what he has told me about these things. He places these things on me. There are a lot of people that will tell you that this entire list right here has been fulfilled. And there are very, very good arguments for that. But I am one of those people who believe that prophecy is fulfilled multiple times until it's the end. And they are speaking specifically about the end. These things happen, but it did not happen at the end altogether. I think these things will happen again, are happening, and have been happening for a short while. All right. We're going to start on 2. Now then, I will tell you the truth. 3 more kings will arise in Persia, and then a 4th, who will be far richer than all the others. And by the power of his wealth, he will stir up everyone against the kingdom of Greece. When he tells us right here, do you know where I'm going? I'm returning to fight against the prince of Persia, and then behold, prince of Greece will come, right? That is this part right here. He is telling us right here, hey, this is happening right now. So, after that, a mighty king will arise who will rule with great authority and do as he pleases. But as soon as he is established, his kingdom will be broken up and parceled out. He will not go to his descendants, nor will it have the authority to which he ruled, because his kingdom will be uprooted and given to others. There is a line of thought that this is Alexander the Great. There's a line of thought that this is several different people throughout history. I hold the purpose that this is the Romans. This is the Roman Catholics. This is the Catholic Church specifically. The mighty king is the Pope. He is the king of the Vatican, right? And he ruled with authority to do as he pleased for a short time. And then the Protestant Revolution happened, and his kingdom was broken up and parceled out to the four winds. There are Protestant denominations everywhere. It did not go to his descendants. It didn't go to the succession of popes, nor will it have the authority from which he ruled. No Protestant denomination holds the absolute authority that the Catholic Church held for a short time. And because his kingdom will be uprooted and given to others. The king of the south will grow strong, but one of his commanders will grow even stronger and will rule his own kingdom with great authority. This is dealing with the Mohammedans. I believe that the kingdom of the south is the Mohammedan altogether. I don't believe that it is necessarily Egypt or Jordan or any of these specific countries. I think it is the overall religiosity that is taken over in the area. I believe that is what it means by it will grow strong, and that Muhammad was one of the commanders who will grow even stronger, and he ruled as a kingdom with authority. The authority of Mohammedans is very much centralized, right? And then after some years they will form an alliance, and the daughter of the king of the south will go to the king of the north to seal the agreement. The daughter will not retain her position of power, nor will his strength endure. At that time she will be given up, along with her royal escort and her father, and the one who supported her. If you are unaware, there is a move right now called a Chrislam. They just opened in Abu Dhabi, I believe, the first temple of Chrislam, which is Christianity, Islam, and Judaism merged. They all three worship in the same place. There's an alliance there, right? The authority is somewhat broken down there, right? But one from her family line will rise up in his place and come against the army of the king of the north and enter his fortresses, fighting and prevailing. He will take their gods captive to Egypt, and their metal images and their precious vessels of silver and gold. For some years he will stay away from the king of the north, who will invade the realm of the king of the south and return to his own land. This has happened and will happen again. We could be witnessing the army of the king of the north, because that is not the same as the king, the mighty king who rose, is not listed as the king of the north. It's not. His kingdom is rooted out. There is no reference to him being the king of the north. So the army of the king of the north is undefined here. It is just meaning from the north. It is widely held that it is Syria. I'm not unconvinced of that, because there is great reason to believe that the Syria-Turkey area is actually the king of the north. There is reason to believe that Russia might be. A little less convinced of that, even with their actions currently. I believe there will be an alliance between Turkey, Russia, and China. I believe that's what's going to happen. Or Turkey, Russia, and the Afghanistan region. Altogether, attacking Jerusalem and going for Mecca. Right? That's part of the prophecies to come. All right. And when the army is carried off, the king of the south will be proud in heart and will cast down tens of thousands. But he will not triumph, for the king of the north will raise another army larger than the first, and after some years he will advance with a great army and many supplies. These two right here could be taken as World War I and World War II. There was an engagement of the north and the south in that manner, not necessarily delineated on those lines, but in the greater scope of things, that's basically how it shook out. I'm not firm on any of that. I'm not sure on that. This isn't what I was told about. This is still very speculative, and until I see the abomination or the armies around Jerusalem or any of the things that I am specifically looking for, I am flexible about anything. Then the North will come and build up a siege ram and capture a fortified city. The forces of the South will not stand, even their best troops will not be able to resist. The invader will do as he pleases, and no one will stand against him. This is interesting considering the current scope of things, but I'm not convinced about that at all. And he will establish himself in the beautiful land with destruction in his hand. He will resolve to come with the strength of his whole kingdom and will reach an agreement with the king of the south. And he will give him a daughter in marriage in order to overthrow the kingdom, but his plan will not succeed or help him. And then he will turn his face to the coastlands and capture many of them. But a commander will undo his reproach and will turn it back upon him. This is what I was just talking about, where I think that they will capture most of like Palestine, the made up place, but like Syria and all of that's going to fall all the way down to Egypt. They're going to go and they're going to try for Mecca, and then that's where they're going to get rebounded. Because the Islamic prophecies deal with that and how that's going to play out. He will stumble and fall and be no more. He will turn back towards the fortresses of his own land, and he will stumble and fall and be no more. This could have been Alexander. This could have been Hitler. This could have been several people throughout history. It could be someone yet to come. It could be nothing we're seeing right now. In his place will arise one who will send out a tax collector for the glory of the kingdom. But within a few days he will be destroyed, though not in anger or in battle. This is interesting because the raising of taxes and the benefit of the economy could be taken to have happened during the presidency of Donald Trump. And within a few days, which would be a few years, he will be destroyed. They're not in anger or in battle. And so he wasn't like defeated and killed, but he was replaced. And in his place, a despicable person will arise. I am not someone who takes the Bible and tries to force the United States into it. But things can happen, and God knew things that they did not, and things are described ways that they understood. And in his place, a despicable person will arise, and royal honors will not be given to him, but he will come in a time of peace and seize the kingdom by intrigue. I'm not sure if I've talked about this before, if it's been in my mind and I never got released to say it before. But this came to me whenever this situation went down in January. The coming to him in a time of peace and seizing the kingdom by intrigue is very, very much in part. And then a flood of forces will be swept away before him and destroyed, along with a prince of the covenant. Prince of the covenant is very interesting because along with the ushering in of our current guy, Israel got a new guy too. A guy who had made several agreements dealing with the past president and the Abrahamic Accords. I think I can say that without getting it straight. And then after an alliance is made with him, he will act deceitfully. For he will rise to power with only a few people, and in a time of peace he will invade the richest provinces and do what his fathers and forefathers never did. He will lavish plunder, loot, and wealth on his followers, and he will plot against the strongholds. You know what? I want to pull this up real quick. So we're going to pull up this word real quick. The strongholds right here. I want to see what that means. It should be right here. New. Here. Strongholds. All right. In the fenced cities with fortifications. The fortified cities, the fortified cities, the fortress, the fortress. Okay. So, yeah. That's the wrong tab. I'm sorry, guys. All right. My voice is about to give out on me, so I have to hurry up. He will plot against the cities, but only for a time. And with a large army, he will stir up his power and courage against the king of the south, who will mobilize a large and powerful army, but will not withstand the plots devised against him. Those who eat from his provisions will seek to destroy him, and his army will be swept away, and many will fall. I think that the king of the south is the Mohammedans. Like, that's how I believe, but I could be wrong. They stand diametrically opposed to what I believe in this. So, not to cast dispersion on any individual person who believes that Muhammad was actually a prophet. And in the appointed time he will invade the south again, but this time it will not be like the first. The ships of contempt, which is Crete or Cyprus, will come against him, and he will lose heart. He will turn back and rage against the holy covenant and do damage. He will return and show favor to those who forsake the covenant. His forces will rise up and desecrate the temple fortress, and they will abolish the daily sacrifice and set up the abomination of desolation. This is why I believe that we're talking about now. It's because the desecration of the temple is not quite yet, but we're getting there. The temple is ready to go. They're just waiting on an agreement to build it. That's all that's waiting. It's funded. They have it planned out. They have the materials ready to put in place. It will take them about 6 months once they have a covenant. And I'm going to bring this all back because we have not quite got to the end, but we're almost there. And then the king will do as he pleases, and will exalt and magnify himself above every god, and will speak monstrous things against the God of God. And he will be successful until the time of wrath is completed. For what has been decreed must be accomplished. And here we go with where I finally get to the word I was given. He will show no regard for the God of his fathers, nor for the one desired by women, nor for any other God, because he will magnify himself above them all. The desired by women struck me particularly because of the people trying to imitate them. Because this particular wording here, I'm going to have to back it up. The particular wording here, I like to look at the wording. Oh no, I was right the first time. Desired by women. The desired by women is the desire or the delight of women. Goodly, the desirable part of women, the valuable part of women. It is not the sexual desire, which is what is normally implied. They don't value women. They will show no regard for the God of his father. We have that in abundance. And they will show no desire for women, nor for the one desired by women, nor for the desires of women. They want to be women. They want to blur out women. You can imitate a man, and there's no pushback whatsoever. But when you imitate a woman, there is, because women are more special than men. And they're special because they have the ability to create life. That is what defines them. Not every woman can have a child. Sometimes that is their trial from God. But they all share the same chromosome. They all, even like some women are born without a uterus, but they have ovaries. Like, if you're born completely without the reproductive organs, then you're intersex, generally speaking. And that is a chromosomal problem, and it affects very, very few people. It is not just because you decide that you want to wear a dress or a wig, or you don't want to shave, or whatever silly ass reason that you've got for thinking that you can change your sex. You can't change your sex. And that is what was really given to me about this whole end time prophecy right here, is because in the time that they're talking about, this is what's going to be. Nor for any other God, because he will magnify himself above all God. This is the religiosity of science that they're talking about here. This is pharmacopoeia that they're talking about here. And in their place, he will honor a God of fortresses. We're going to go ahead and check that one out too. That is, let's do that. I got to back up and then go for it. Actually, I closed the wrong thing out. I know, I'm so disorganized. Where'd it go? Here. He was so no regard for the gods of his fathers. The God of fortresses, right here, 38. All right. Daniel 38. The God of fortresses is defenses of fortified places. Right? It means the same as the word where was it? We just looked it up a minute ago. Oh well, I'm going to continue for it. But it means the same. It's a strong place. It's a fortified place. With gold, silver, precious stones, and riches. And he will attack the strongest fortresses with the help of a foreign god, and will greatly honor those who acknowledge him, making them rulers over many, and distributing their land for a price. And at the time of the end, the king of the south will engage him in battle, but the king of the north will storm out against him with chariots, horsemen, and many ships, invading many countries, and sweeping through them like a flood. He will also invade the beautiful land, and many countries will fall. But these will be delivered from his hand: Edom, Moab, and the leaders of the Ammonites. That is specifically talking about the area east to south of current-day Israel. And he will extend his power over many countries, and not even the land of Egypt will escape. He will gain control of the treasures of gold and silver, and over all the riches of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Cushites will also submit to him. So that is a good chunk of Africa. Egypt, Libya, and Cush are I guess that would be the eastern coast of Africa. And I've never really thought about it like that before, but that area right there would be the eastern coast. And he will extend his power over many countries. Okay. But news from the east and north will alarm him, and he will go out with great fury to destroy many and devote them to destruction. The east and the north would be the Russian Afghani area, or China. And he will pitch his royal tents between the sea and the beautiful holy mountain, and he will meet his end with no one to help him. And that is the coast of Palestine. Okay. One more quick section, and we're going to be done. Daniel 12. This is where everybody goes when they're talking about the end time. They tend to gloss over the part we just covered because it's a little bit confusing. I've done the best I could. I'm not clear on it. But this is definitely talking about now. This correlates with the book of Revelation. This is definitely talking about the things that are coming in the end times. And at that time, Michael, the great prince who stands watch over your people, will rise up. And there will be a time of distress, the likes of which have not occurred from the beginnings of nations until that time. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. This is one of those where people are like, okay, well, this is the rapture. I don't hold with a pre-tribulation rapture for many reasons which I have gone into. And many who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, but others to shame and everlasting contempt. This is the same timing as what they're talking about here. This is the exact same moment. It is the end when the dead arise and everyone is judged. That is when we are all called. And the wise will shine like the brightness of heaven, and those who lead many to righteousness will shine like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, shut up these words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many will roam to and fro, and knowledge will increase. We're in that point now. Many are roaming to and fro. We have people flying everywhere. You hold, where's my phone? You hold the sum of all knowledge in your hand. You can look up anything. All knowledge is in your hand, right? And so knowledge will increase. We will know great things. We're talking about they're changing genetic codes. Then I, Daniel, looked and saw two others standing there, one on this bank of the river and one on the opposite. And one of them said to the man dressed in linen who was above the waters of the river, How long until the fulfillment of these wonders? And the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, raised his right hand and his left hand towards heaven, and I heard him swear by him who lives forever, saying, it will be for a time, a times, and half a time. And when the power of the holy people has finally been shattered, all of these things will be completed. When the power of all the holy people has finally been shattered, it will be completed. I heard but did not understand, so I asked, my Lord, what will be the outcome of these things? And he said, go on your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. Many will be purified, made spotless and refined, but the wicked will continue to act wickedly. When he says purified, made spotless, and refined, he's talking about martyrdom. None of the wicked will understand, but the wise will understand. And from the time of the daily sacrifices abolished and the abomination of desolation set up, remember that occurs at the same time. When they stop is when we get to see the sign. So we're going to have 3.5 years of the temple and the beginnings of the beast system before we see the actual sign in the sky. There will be 1290 days, and blessed is he who waits and reaches the end of the 1335 days. But as for you, go on your way until the end. You will rest and will arise to your inheritance at the end of days. It is hard to get into prophecy because sometimes God tells me that I can't tell y'all things. And I don't like that. I don't like not being able to tell things. So I've been holding off on saying anything for a while. But he pretty firmly placed this on me today. And so I'm not doing much music today. I don't know that I'm going to do any actual songs at all. I will do some probably tomorrow, but not today. Because I'm about to kill my voice doing this. I've talked now for 42 minutes, and if you don't know, that's an accomplishment. This is important. We are in these times. I have done studies on the signs of the times. I've done studies on what I believe is going to unfold and how it's going to play out. I still believe that. I don't falter from that. This is another perspective of the same thing. I think that we will see a visible sign in the sky. I was thinking prior that maybe we would see it to begin the tribulation and be like, okay, now it's time to run. And he does say not to run until you see the abomination. But that when you do, to take off and don't look back. He says that there will be a place prepared. There's something in Daniel. I thought I was going to get to it. But my voice, it must have been prior to this. But he does say that there is a place that you will be guided to for a little while. Actually, I think that might be in Revelation. No. Somewhere's in here. I'm pretty sure it's in Daniel. He does say that there's a place and that people will join insincerely, that you will be captured and some people will escape and that some people will join them insincerely in order to capture them, and many will be captured because of that. Be wary of that when you're in the wilderness. He does say that you will be taken care of in the wilderness, so be confident in that. If you make it to the wilderness, you will be taken care of. But be aware that they are going to try and stop you from making it to the wilderness. They will kill you. They are planning to cut your head off. That is what the end goal is. And if you refuse to take the mark that is going to track you and keep tabs on where you are and what you can buy or sell, then they're going to kill you. That's going to happen. I don't know how they're going to justify it. Like, I look at it and I'm like, how are they going to say these people won't take the mark, so we're going to cut their heads off and people are going to be okay with it? But then I look at the state of the world that we're in and how things are shaking out. How we have men running around in dresses saying they're women and getting mad at you for denying that. It's insane. I hope I brought you a little bit of enlightenment. I know that this is very heavy. I know that this is not for everybody. I know that some people didn't make it to the end of this. Most people probably won't make it to the end of this. But God told me to say it, so I'm saying it. If you don't know God, I'm going to tell you how you can know God, to be prepared for the end times, because he wants you to know him before this comes to pass. Well, and what you need to do is you need to come to him and you need to ask him to forgive you for your sins. You say something like this. You say, Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you a sinner and I ask you to forgive my sins. I freely accept the grace that you have freely extended, and I want you to change my life. Help me to be yours. And just as simple as that, it is done. He will change you if you want him to. If you meant that and said that, he will come into your life and change you. But you have to put in the work too. It is not just magic, you're done. You have to put in work. It is hard to overcome addictions. It is hard to choose the right thing. And the more that you try to choose the right thing, the more the wrong thing is going to hit you. Be careful out there. I am praying for you every single day. I really am. And I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me. So until next time, this has been Pitt's Tape, Lessons from the Book. Peace.